if you wish to deploy virtual bubbles around every passenger in the car and extract his voice, understand who is speaking, where he's located, what he's saying, and that's again without the need of deploying microphones as others are doing.
Hey everybody, Dave Lindbergh in Hong Kong with another episode of THD Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Today we've got Dani Cherkassky. He's been on before. There's Kardome based in Tel Aviv. We're going to get the update from them on what they've been working on. They started with spatial audio pickup and now they're moving into natural language understanding, which is I was just informed of. But before we get into those details, let's thank the Alti Association. They had a really great show in Munich and they had like a shared space exhibit. So we encourage people, if you don't get to see them in person, maybe reach out to Barry and find out how you can get involved. They're a great networking organization in the audio world. And also the Audio Express. We always encourage people to check out their publications. They've got a weekly newsletter and they've got a print publication you can check out, find out what's going on in the world of audio. So without delay, we've got Simon in Japan. Good afternoon, Simon.
Hi, how are you?
And we got Dani. How you doing, Dani? Good to see you again.
Hey, David. Thanks for inviting again.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, we've known each other for some time, and let's not test my memory to see if I remember everything about your technology, but maybe let's get into catching people up to what you guys are working on now.
Absolutely. So I think to a large extent, I already shared it last time. But when you look on the domain of voice, voice have been around for many years. Usually it used to promise that high and deliver relatively low.
Yeah.
And when we're really looking on what are the challenges, what are the showstoppers that preventing from voice, to take over any other interaction or interface method, I believe there are two challenges. One is what we usually call noisy environments. The environments need to be favorable. Let's call it that way. We cannot trust those voice UI in any environment. It sometimes will work and sometimes will not. And second is the requirement for, I would say, unnatural behavior or unnatural speech that humans are required to follow. That's including wake-up words and specific patterns of commands that needs to be given in order for the system to understand you. And that actually puts a lot of cognitive load on the users, and therefore, in the back of our mind, many times we are saying, well, that's too cumbersome, that's too complicated. I better go and press the button that I need.
Right.
And we at Kardome started with solving the first challenge. I would say a bit broader than just the first challenge. We developed a spatial hearing AI technology which understands the environment the system is in. And as a sub-product of it, it can pinpoint and localize different sound sources in the environment. It can reject environmental noise. And basically, it was solving the first challenge. And now we are with our next generation platform. We really want to make it, and we're actually making it. We demonstrated it first time last week in Detroit Autotech. And you can speak to your device, be it a car or any other smart IoT equipment, as if it's a human being. You don't need to wake it up with a specific wake word. The device understands the space you are in using our spatial hearing AI, and it also understands the context of the conversation. So, if you and I are sitting in a room and we are discussing or we having the conversation, and at a certain point, I'm saying something that is, the intent is to operate the device will understand it and will respond to it. That's where we are now.
Okay. Yeah, I think there was a little bit of pullback with people with their Alexa devices, for example, where the user's frustrated because it's not recognizing it to wake up and to start listening. And, it's kind of like people stop using it. And like you said, go press the button if that's too cumbersome to get it to, or you have to repeat yourself too many times.
That's one. Absolutely. I mean, there was a big hype around the voice with basically with created by Amazon with their Alexa Echo devices. But the second thing that people were frustrated with is this device is not. I'm sorry for saying it's not really useful. What you can actually do with those devices is very, very limited. I mean, you can put a timer, you can ask about the weather in Miami tomorrow, but not much more than that. Yes, true. You can also operate you can use it as a hub of your smartphone, to operate lights, but that's the thing. Now, because you need to give those, lights on, lights off commands in a very specific pattern. You have to wake up Alexa first, then you have to turn on the lights in my living room. That's right. Too complicated. People are, just pressing a button. If those devices were, what I'm claiming here, and now to a large extent with the great improvements in language model and AI, the capabilities are there. So if those devices could understand my intent easily, so if all I would have to say is lights on, and device would understand where I'm located, and if the device understands where I'm located, it's clear that I want the lights on in here, this location, and not in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And if I wouldn't have to wake up the device, if that I would use it. So our claim is, and I've been saying that for years already since we established Kardome, that voice is by far the most natural and the most efficient way for humans to interact. This is how you and I are interacting. And the reason voice is not taking over still over other interaction or interface methods with machines is because the systems are not there yet. If I could speak to my machine as natural as I speak to my colleague, to my friend, I would do it. If the machine would understand the context, and I just I can ask simple things as I can ask other human, I would do it. If the machine would understand the context of what's going on in the environment, and maybe not even waiting for me to ask the question, but rather injecting the information, those machines would be incredibly useful. Imagine with the current AI capabilities. Imagine you basically have a digital companion. Let's imagine you have all those. The power of AI is sitting here in your earbud, and this device understands the environment. You're having your business meetings. You're having your meetings with friends, family. Doesn't matter. This device understands what's going on in the environment, and it's basically whispering on your ear the information that you need. So majority of this functionality is already available today. I mean, you ask OpenAI a question, you get a decent, maybe much more than that answer. But imagine if you wouldn't need really to actively ask questions, if devices would able to understand the environment and the context of what's going on in the environment, and push you the information. That would be incredible, and I think this is where the voice is going, and we're gonna be there. I know I'm biased, but I'm a big believer in voice.
Yeah, you can also imagine the commercial side of things and potential marketing opportunities for suggesting things to people when it's dinner time or something like that. Do you want to eat some noodles tonight or whatever it might be? But all right, let's continue.
Hey, Dani,
that's one perspective. Of course, it's a bit scary, people whispering on my ear what I want to eat tonight. But yeah, there are other perspectives also. But the most successful people today worldwide, they have personal assistant that they're basically whispering all on their ear the information that they need, and this is how they become more successful and more efficient. Now, if with the power of AI, we could enable a personal assistant, a proactive personal assistant that is whispering on the ear of every one of us, maybe we all can become more successful and more efficient.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
So
Simon, you were
anyway,
going to say?
is this cloud-based processing of the voice audio? Is it done in the local
No,
machine?
we are limiting ourselves, and I can dive a bit deeper to that, but we're limiting ourselves to edge processing. We are doing nothing in the cloud, and we are actually limiting our models to device specific models. So what I want to say here is I think one of the reasons the Alexa, Echo, and Google Home, etc., were not too successful because those devices were very, very generic. And it's true, it was a hub. Then you can connect all the devices to that app, and then speak to all the devices through that app. But because it is so generic and it's actually complicated, and that's why the requirement was to keep certain speech patterns and to wake up the device. Now, what we are doing, we are saying, our thesis is the following. We are saying, if you have a microwave, that microwave should be naturally operated by voice. It should happen in any environment, and actually the number of speech patterns by which you may want to activate the device is infinite, is very, very large. But the number of functionalities that this device is actually doing is very limited. Think of microwave, there may be 5 or I don't know, 10. In a car, there may be 50. In a TV, something in between. So infinite number of environments, infinite number of speech patterns, all together activating very finite, actually very small number of functionalities of intent. And that is the model that we are doing. So it's unlimited on one hand, on the input side. It is very limited on the output side, because that's the nature of our devices. And so it's a model that is tuned or trained differently for a microwave and for a robot and for a car. And once it's trained, it will sit on the edge without any connectivity to the cloud. We started Kardome in 2020. We've been very, very lean until I would say late last year, where towards the end of last year we concluded an A round, and since then we are growing. We have 30 employees right now. We have a full scale front office in Korea, including customer support. Most of our investors are coming mostly from the east side of the world. So Korea and Japan are very important to us, with some partners from Israel and from US also.
Okay.
We've been recently able to announce several partnerships. The partnership with Korea Telecom is not new, but it's a major customer where we are deployed already in millions of smart home devices. We announced the partnership with LG Electronics recently, and we're going to be live with their TVs starting from end of this year. We demonstrated the system for collaboration with SoundHound last week in Detroit Auto Tech. So we are building our network. Eventually, we are a B2B business. Our go-to-market is through partnership, and this is what we are doing. And of course, in automotive, we have a major design win. I'm still not officially cannot disclose the name already. I guess it's mostly known to everyone already. But the cars with Kardome inside going to be on the roads towards the end of this year, and it's gonna grow in the following years.
And has that been a long process? Because the reason I ask is like typically automotive audio, it was something that took a little bit longer to get your product into the cars because of safety certification. Is it the same for introducing your voice into?
Voice is not a safety feature, so thanks God. On the other hand, automotive is slower than IoT. There is no question about it. It's more complicated. The standards are much higher. The requirements are much higher. You basically need to be able to deliver zero faults, right? So
Right.
it should be a perfect system.
The further reason I bring this up is there's some current debate about some of the Chinese automotive makers not being, I don't know if you would say strict, but they're moving faster to deploy. Like literally, Xiaomi has cars now, and it seemingly came out of nowhere. But are they following the same safety protocols as? Are you having any interactions with the Chinese car makers? You must be.
So we do. And you mentioned Xiaomi. It's interesting. I had a chance to be in a rental Xiaomi car really maybe a month ago in Shenzhen, and I must admit this is one of the most impressive cars I ever experienced in my life. Even forget about the price tag, but if you now even consider the price tag, it's cheap and it's really state of the art. In terms of ADAS, in terms of audio systems, in terms of design, it's really nice.
Right.
So I think the Chinese OEMs are redefining the standards in automotive. I'm still not sure where this is going, and absolutely they are okay with sort of putting an 80% product to the market and fix it fast. That's, I would say they are in some regards, they behave more like a startup, less like a traditional OEM. I'm not sure in general where this is taking the automotive industry, but I think it's disrupting. I mean, even forget about Kardome, even from a customer perspective. If you can get a decent car today for half of the tag price.
Right.
So it's something to think about. I believe what I'm hearing, one of the concerns with those many Chinese small car OEMs is that there is a chance that you buy a car and a week after there is no company. So it's a kind of startup behavior, and still for most of the people, maybe at least for many of us, to buy a car is a significant expense. It's not something that we are doing on a daily basis. So people cannot afford buying a car from a company that will disappear in 2 weeks' time.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, wow, it's really impressive. They are pushing the market with even if you want to look from the voice perspective. Chinese OEMs, they actually were the first to enable voice for all the users of the car. And they did it simply by deploying microphones on the roofline. Above each seat, there is a microphone. Now, these Asian manufacturer that wanted to follow them basically said, well, now I also want to enable the voice for all the users of the car. And they published an RFQ. So all the suppliers were proposing the same method as the Chinese OEM are doing by deploying microphones. And we were the only one that able to do the same, to enable voice for 4 or maybe 6, even up to 6 users of the car with only a single microphone array through our spatial hearing AI. So the microphone stays only at the overhead console, and our software is doing the spatial analysis and can focus on the speaker, whatever it's saying. So that's in a sense, Kardome really gained a lot from Chinese guys pushing this technology forward.
Okay.
I'm curious. When you deploy a system, let's say in a TV or a car, is it done as its kind of its own subsystem? I mean, a hardware board, you have a processor that's separate from the rest of the device's componentry?
It's not a hardware board. We are providing software in many of the instances. Actually, in all of the instances in IoT, our product is installed through over-the-air update. So it's a software-only solution that is piggybacked on the existing hardware.
Meaning, therefore, that there's no additional hardware cost for those device makers.
True.
Or they have to spec something fairly powerful to begin with.
I guess that's the question, is what kind of processing?
So, I mean, you need a processing power, but just to give you an idea, we are running on ARM processors. It's not that we require a GPU and NVIDIA things. Yes, we can run on those also. That's what we are doing in automotive, but in IoT, absolutely, we are running on ARM cores. Not all of them, of course. I mean, if you have those, very small microcontrollers, it's not even a processor, then most likely it's not fit. So as I mentioned, we've been very much, and basically until late last year, we've been very much focused on Korea.
Mm-hmm.
We identified an initial traction there, and we decided let's build a test case. So our team was dedicated to Korea only, and I'm very proud to say that we've been. I mean, it paid off to us. I mean, we have now. You see all the logos here. So basically, all the big Korean names are either our customers already in production or on the way there, which I'm very proud of. And what we've been able to accomplish is to define enough traction and enough business in Korea for us to establish a local office that is now supporting full scale our Korean operation, and we are putting a lot of headquarters attention, I would say, now towards West. We are expanding. US is the next target for us.
Okay.
So basically, we are trying to copy the Korean success towards US. It's not exactly the same, but that's what we are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the system is still the same. We are calling it our spatial hearing platform. So again, it's about identifying the three-dimensional environment that we are in, and a sub-product of it is a noise reduction. Everybody say, well, you have to reduce noise. And what we are saying, well, not really. It's not just about reducing noise. You need to understand the environment. That's what we are able to do with our ears. Once you're able to understand the environment, yes, some product of that is that you're also able to reduce noise. But that's the way, I would say that's the right way of thinking about it, and that's the right way of developing the technology that will be able to understand space and deal with voice in noisy environments. And then on top of that, there is the natural language that is coming.
Right, and the voice ID's been around for a while. Is it getting better? I mean, I still have people asking me about people that could do voice print. specifically a company that's actually owned, parent company is Korean. So that might be interesting for them. But actually having that voice print is something a lot of people ask for, especially with like conferencing systems where they want to identify who's authorizing decisions and such like this in meeting transcription.
I think with voice print, there are two use cases that we shouldn't confuse. One is about voice identification, and the other one is authorization. So it's not, and for authorization, you basically need a 100% certainty, right? So if it is if you log into your bank account and it's only 98%, you wouldn't want to use it.
Right.
And I think it's not there yet. Or if you use it, it's not there yet. On the other hand, if it is about identifying people in conference call, 95 or 96 maybe good enough.
Right.
I mean, there is no big disaster happens if you have a glitch every now and then, and they will be identified as Dani. And that's we already there. We are able to deliver 96 or even 97% of accuracy on voices or sentences that are longer than 1 second. Very short words are still challenged. Now, if you say a single word, boom, the accuracy is not very well. But if you say a complete sentence, there is pretty good chance that we will identify you correctly. And pretty good is above 96 for sure.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So, as I mentioned, the current platform is used in consumer electronics where we are able to identify the environment, and we have identify an environment and facilitate reliable voice user interface with devices. And specifically in automotive, I already touched on it. We really have a unique thing that no one else can do, is that using single microphone array plus our software, we are able to, if you wish, to deploy virtual bubbles around every passenger in the car, and extract his voice, understand who is speaking, where he's located, what he's saying, and that's again without the need of deploying microphones as others are doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's all clear.
Moving forward to our next generation platform, we call it an Edgebox AI, and it's really an on-device SLM that is running on top of our spatial analysis module. It listening continuously, always on, and understands the context of the conversation. We published several demos in Autotech 2 weeks ago. You can check them. But you basically sit in a car, have a conversation with your with your friend, and then at some point you're saying, you know what? I feel hungry. How about driving to McDonald's? So the car understands that this is a navigation intent and suggesting you closest McDonald's restaurant. That's just an example. And so it's small language model. It is running on the edge, and the unique or the important thing here to notice is really what I already addressed, that even for a specific device, on the left side, the number of possible environments are large. It's infinite, the number of different environmental and noise scenarios. The number of speech patterns that you may want to give and you want the system to understand is also infinite. I don't want my car to respond only to open the rear right window. I want it to respond also to go down the window, make the window, lower the window. I don't know, any slang out there. Yeah. The car should understand it. Yeah, the number of speech patterns is infinite. But actually, the number of device-specific intent is limited, and it's limited in all the use cases. From our perspective, since we want to build a natural voice user interface per specific device. And that's what we are doing. That's I believe where the world is heading with voice. And this really, once we have it up and running, this really, unlocks maybe those futuristic use cases that I refer to of injecting information, whispering on your ear information when you need it, since this device understands context.
Right.
When implementing one of these systems, then you have to decide in advance all of the possible functions it's going to execute at the end. But someone also needs to provide this, essentially a list of all possible ways of requesting that in order to train it.
No. So you need to provide the list, or you need to design this language model for a given list of functionalities. And now what the language model is doing is making this translation between infinite number of pattern of commands to finite number of functionalities. That's the whole novelty. NLUs are here for 20 years or more than that, and it's not good enough. I mean, if you provide, okay, now you and I will design the system with two different ways to open the window, 5 different ways to change the temperature in the air conditioner, but it's not good enough. Someone will sit in this car and will give a complete different speech pattern, but it actually wants to do the same. And that's where the language model is coming. It's not something that was doable with classical NLUs, but it is now.
Okay, so that component of it is being developed over a long period of time. So you've got essentially the whole entire vocabulary to work with.
Yes.
Very interesting. And is there so that means that the time to deploy a system is not terribly long once you have this your defined structure.
I'm sorry, what was?
Oh, the time to deploy a system, therefore, is not especially long.
So it's not zero. It's not that we have a generic system and we can deploy it to any device. We have to train it, and I would say to tweak it per a specific device. That's what giving it the ability. That was giving the ability to squeeze the language model to the size that it can fit actually on the edge without the continuous cloud connectivity with its associated bandwidth and cost. So there is I would say development adaptation of the model per specific device. It's not super long. Depends on how you define long.
And as part of this model, then let's say you want to define some parameters as well, and maybe need to layer parameters. That's not part of the language model exactly. That would be part of the handling of the outputs.
So, the voice industry was, for many years, it was trying to do what you are doing. Say, no, there are several disciplines in understand natural language. Let's build that block that is responsible for A, another block that is responsible for B, and so on. And this is suboptimal. What we are doing now is training one unified model that is doing it all. So what I think the humanity is largely discovering those days is, yes, you can train an AI model that is doing many things. don't try to break it into subtasks. And that's what we are doing. So it's this picture. It's one model that understands space and language.
Just thinking in terms of your microwave example, let's say one case you might say, run the microwave oven for 2 minutes. In another case, you might say, run the microwave oven for 2 minutes at 900 watts. In the first case, then, that system has to decide what is the default power level. And I guess in that sense, it's the same as a button press, because you have a default in place unless otherwise specified?
Sure. So that's one of the things that you need to adopt per specific device. The defaults, yeah, they are different for every device, and you just touched on it. There are also other things, but it's not about I would say limiting or redeveloping the core model. It's really about the default parameters. I would say as you correctly mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know much about the car systems at all, so I suppose they have some kind of a layer, handle layer. So you have the language model where you say something, you get a result out of that, and then some other system has to direct it to the right part of the vehicle, the air conditioning system, or the navigation or windows and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a fairly standardized thing, or is that part of the development process?
So there is still no standard in automotive. It's a bit fluctuating. If you look back, initially OEMs were once Google and Apple came with those models, say, well, we will give them all the real estate. They will basically take control over our cars. Then they actually realize that that they are losing revenue stream here. Say no, we will develop our own things, but it was largely a failure. They couldn't. It was too late and battle Google Android Auto and Apple Play is in every car already, and now it's I think it's a bit of the move is a bit back towards the previous direction, where they're trying to split between car related intents and other intents. So if it is search, navigation, or things that need to happen outside of the car, then maybe it's one subsystem that's taking care, Google or Apple. If it is something that is related to the car, like roll down the window or change the drive mode or set up the temperature, blah, 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 then it's a local system that is taking care of those intents. So it's still, there is still no standard, but that's the way OEM think for now.
You already mentioned it before, but if you wouldn't mind just elaborating a little bit. So you might have an Alexa home type of an approach where you have various connected devices, and they are all driven from this one input source. Or the approach that you're talking about where you might have television and various different appliances that are all completely independently driven. So in your view, the latter one is the long-term winner in this scenario?
Yes.
And
yes, I think every device should become smart. And it's not about having a smart hub, super smart hub I'm sorry for saying, with dumb devices. And this hub is actually feeding the other devices. Every device should become smart if you want smart by its own. And only then it will be able to understand really human level speech, I would say.
It's almost like a tendency for an oscillation between localization and centralization of things. So you had the history in computers, we have a mainframe system, and we moved to a simple desktop. Now we're all back on the cloud or using Google services. And I wonder if you end up in that situation where at different periods, different things are more optimal.
So I mean that's mainframe. It's an excellent example. From it's really if we don't want to take the science back to the mainframes where every strike on a keypad goes up cloud, we need to build localized, democratized systems.
Mm-hmm. Can imagine a kind of a scenario of almost an AI clutter where every device is trying to pass out your language for its own activity.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I mean that's about it. That's what I wanted to share with you. That's where we started, and this is where we are going. And I think voice. I mean, there are ups and downs for voice. I believe that voice now is booming. It's pretty much
Yeah.
clear to everyone that it really unlocks the full capabilities of AI in terms of human-machine interface. AI is those large language models. They are incredible. On the other hand, the interface with them is still cumbersome. You still find yourself typing things or speaking to your device and
Right.
holding it close to your mouse. Voice will change it. So it's great time. It's exciting times for voice. It's great to be in the voice industry right now, and let's see what we are able to build for the humanity.
Okay. All right. Simon, do you got any more questions?
I think that'll do it. Thanks.
No. All right. So yeah, Dani, thanks so much for coming on and giving us an update. It's definitely exciting times. You guys are making some big inroads, especially in the automotive space, and of course in the Korean market is exciting. But yeah, let's table that for today. We encourage anybody have any questions, pop your questions down below, and we'll get them shared. And please like, subscribe, and share this out to all your friends. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks, everybody.